Imagine this. You build a billion-dollar company, you somehow survive the dot-com crash, and you become a household name, only to see your entire business model threatened almost overnight. Well, that's the reality for BigBasket, a true pioneer that's now caught right in the middle of one of the fiercest retail battles on the planet. I mean, seriously, what do? You spend more than a decade building this brand that people trust and love, and then you wake up one day and the whole game is just changed. Your careful, well-planned service is suddenly up against pure, instant gratification.
For BigBasket, this is not some thought experiment. It's a full-blown existential crisis. They made it through the first internet bubble, but this new challenge, it could be even bigger. So what exactly is at stake here?
To really get the intensity of this fight, you have to understand the size of the prize. We are talking about a digital gold rush. And the numbers? Well, they're absolutely staggering.
Right now, as of 2024, the e-retail market in India is already worth an incredible $60 billion. That's a huge number on its own, but what's truly mind-blowing is where it's going. By 2030, that number is expected to triple, hitting something like $180 billion. That's not just growth, you guys, that's a flat-out explosion. And everyone sees the grocery sector as the next massive frontier to conquer. But here's the real kicker. Even with all those billions, online food sales are still a tiny slice of the pie, less than 2% of the whole market. That just shows you how much untapped potential is still out there. The race is on to grab all of that.
So who is BigBasket actually fighting? Well, they're fighting a war on two completely different fronts against two very different kinds of enemies.
On one side, you've got the giants. Think Amazon and Flipkart. They have endless resources and they're aggressively pushing into groceries. And on the other side, you have the ghosts. These are players like Zepto and Blinkit. They are ridiculously fast. They operate from these neighborhood dark stores and they have totally rewritten the rulebook with a brand new model. And that new model is called quick commerce or Q-commerce. The whole business is built on one simple promise: getting your stuff, mostly groceries, to your door in under 30 minutes. Often, it's more like 10 or 15. And its impact has been, well, revolutionary. Now let this sink in for a second. In just a couple of years, Q-commerce has blown up to the point where it now accounts for more than 2/3 of the entire online grocery market. It's not some little niche anymore. It's the main event. The big takeaway here is that speed has become the new currency, and it has completely changed what we, as customers, expect. And that brings us right back to BigBasket's billion-dollar dilemma. They have to make a choice that will define their entire future. Do they ditch the model that made them a success, or do they double down on what they've always done best? They are truly at a crossroads. So let's break down the two paths they could take, because each one has massive upsides and some pretty terrifying risks. Okay, path one, perfect the original model. Their strengths here are undeniable, right? A massive selection, they're aiming for 60,000 different items, tons of expertise, a fantastic network of farmers, and a decade of brand trust. They could own the big, planned weekly grocery shop. But, and this is a big but, the risks are just as clear. Their delivery target is about 3 hours. In a world of 10-minute delivery, that feels ancient. They risk losing every single impulse buy, the, oh shoot, I'm out of milk moments. And they could start looking like an outdated brand to a whole new generation of customers. All right, so path two, pivot and go all in on quick commerce. The appeal here is pretty obvious. You jump into a market that's growing over 40% a year. You grab the attention of that convenience-obsessed Gen Z customer, and you use India's dense cities to hopefully make the model profitable. So what's the downside? Well, you're up against brutal competition from companies that only do Q-commerce. It's a super expensive game that just burns through cash. And maybe most importantly, you have to give up your biggest advantage, that huge selection. There's just no way to stock 60,000 items in a tiny little warehouse for a 10-minute delivery. And just when you thought that choice couldn't get any harder, there's this whole other layer of complexity that makes this battle uniquely Indian. See, you just can't treat India like a single monolithic market. The way people think about shopping changes dramatically from one region to another. This quote from Bain & Company says it all. In the north, a brand might be about status, but in the south, it's a sign of quality. A strategy that crushes it in Delhi could totally bomb in Bengaluru.
And on top of that, you've got the generational shift. Just look at this. Gen Z now makes up 40% of all online shoppers. They're the biggest group, and they are way more experimental. They find brands on social media, and they care about speed and convenience more than anything else. You absolutely have to win them over.
So the bottom line is a simple one-size-fits-all strategy is just doomed to fail. To win here, you have to figure out how to navigate all of these many Indias, all the different regions, generations, and ways of thinking that make the market so diverse. So, why does this whole corporate drama in India matter to the rest of us? Because what's happening there right now is basically a sneak peek at the future of retail for everyone, everywhere. This tension, this choice between a massive, endless selection and getting something delivered instantly, that is the central conflict in modern business. Doesn't matter if it's a startup in Berlin or a giant supermarket in Texas, they are all wrestling with the exact same questions that BigBasket is facing right now. It all boils down to this one fundamental question. As a shopper, what do you really value more? Is it the ability to get anything you could possibly imagine delivered in a few hours? Or is it that magic of getting what you need right now in just a few minutes? Because whoever wins this fight won't just control India's enormous grocery market. They're going to set the new global standard for convenience, for choice, and for speed. And that's going to fundamentally change how all of us shop for years to come.